No fingerprints. No DNA. No camera footage. On her birthday, Emily Carter's killer entered murdered and vanished without a single trace. This is the case that shook the town of Rosewood and remains unsolved to this day. Emily Carter was the kind of girl you couldn't help but notice in a crowd, not because she was loud or flashy, but because she carried an energy that made you feel at ease. Friends described her as warm, thoughtful, always smiling. Someone who would rather spend an evening curled up with a book than at a loud party. She worked as a graphic designer for a small but growing agency in Millfield. Her desk was always decorated with tiny figurines of animals, a sign of her deep love for them. Every Saturday morning without fail, Emily would volunteer at the local dog shelter, walking abandoned dogs, cleaning cages, even paying out of her own pocket when the shelter ran short on supplies. Her life was simple, calm, and full of quiet joy. She was close to her parents, spoke to them every evening after work. Her friends called her the glue of their group, the one who remembered every birthday, every anniversary, every little thing that made people feel special. And March 14, 2015, was supposed to be her day. Her 25th birthday. A milestone she was quietly excited about. Her best friend Sarah had secretly planned a surprise gathering for that evening, balloons, cake, decorations. Everything ready to make Emily feel loved. At 4:52 p.m. that day, Emily sent Sarah a text, "Leaving the office soon. Can't wait to see you all tonight." A little later, another message, "Got some groceries for dinner. See you tonight." Winking face, those were the last words anyone would ever receive from Emily Carter. She left her office at exactly 5:15 p.m., as captured on the building's CCTV cameras. She waved goodbye to her colleagues, smiled politely to the receptionist, unaware that this ordinary workday would be the final day of her life. Emily walked the familiar path to her apartment, carrying a small grocery bag, a bottle of milk, some fruit, a loaf of bread. Things for the quiet dinner she planned to have, before her friends surprised her later that evening. But Emily never made it to that dinner. Nor to her own birthday party. She never got to open the presents waiting for her. Or taste the cake that her friends had specially ordered. By 7:30 p.m. that evening, Emily Carter was dead. As the clock approached 7:30 p.m. that evening, Emily's friends, Sarah, Megan, and Josh, arrived outside her apartment building. They were laughing, carrying balloons, a box of cake, and a handful of wrapped gifts, all ready to surprise their quiet, gentle friend on her 25th birthday. Sarah held the cake box carefully, Megan was holding the helium balloons that bobbed gently with every step, and Josh carried the small bag of gifts they had all chipped in to buy. A new leather-bound sketchbook, some scented candles, simple, thoughtful things that Emily would have loved. The plan was simple: they'd ring the bell, hide to the side, and jump out yelling "Happy Birthday" when she opened the door. But when Sarah pressed the doorbell, nothing happened. No sound of footsteps. No muffled "Who is it?" from inside. Just silence. At first they laughed. Maybe Emily was in the shower, or wearing headphones again while working on one of her designs. But when Sarah called her phone, and it kept ringing and ringing with no answer, the smiles began to fade. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. After a few more tries, knocks, calls, messages left unanswered, Sarah remembered the spare key Emily had given her months ago. "Just in case I lose mine," Emily had said with a laugh back then. Sarah dug through her bag, pulled out the key, and with trembling hands, unlocked the door. What they saw inside would stay with them forever. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Like the air itself was holding its breath. Birthday decorations sat untouched on the kitchen counter. Streamers still rolled, party hats still in their plastic wrap. The cake box was sitting unopened on the table, just as Sarah was holding it moments ago, only this one was from Emily herself. And then they saw her. Emily was lying face down in the middle of the living room floor. Her arms awkwardly bent beneath her. Her long hair spread across the carpet like a dark halo. For a moment, just a second, Sarah thought maybe she had fainted or slipped, or was playing some weird birthday prank. But the truth settled fast and cold into their bones. Emily wasn't moving. Wasn't breathing. And the marks around her neck, dark, angry bruises, told a terrifying story. She had been strangled. Her fingernails were chipped and broken. Clear signs that she had fought desperately, wildly, scratching, clawing, trying to escape whoever was doing this to her. There was no sign of forced entry. No broken window. No smashed lock or kicked-in door. Whoever had done this had been let in. Or worse, already inside. The balloons slipped from Megan's hand and floated slowly to the ceiling. The gifts tumbled to the floor. Josh turned pale and stepped back toward the door. And Sarah? Sarah fell to her knees, her phone slipping from her grip as she dialed 911 with trembling fingers. It should have been a night of laughter, of joy, of celebration. Instead, it became the beginning of a nightmare no one would ever forget. When the first police officers arrived at Emily Carter's apartment, it was already past 8:15 p.m. Blue and red lights flashed outside the quiet building, disturbing what had started as an ordinary evening in this peaceful neighborhood. Detectives moved carefully through the apartment, gloves on, cameras flashing, documenting every inch of the crime scene. They checked the kitchen counters, the windows, the bedroom, every drawer, every closet, looking for anything that might explain what had happened here. But strangely, they found almost nothing. Emily's phone gone. Nowhere to be found. Her purse untouched, still sitting by the door where she always left it. Wallet, cash, credit cards, all there. Jewelry boxes in her bedroom, untouched, undisturbed. This was not a robbery. No valuables were missing. Whoever came into that apartment didn't come for money or things. They came only for Emily. The forensic team searched for fingerprints. Door handles, light switches, glass surfaces, every possible place. But there were no strange prints. Only Emily's. There were no signs of forced entry. No broken windows. No scratch marks on the lock. The door hadn't been kicked or pried open. Which meant only two things: either Emily had let her killer inside willingly, or the killer had already been waiting for her. Neighbors were questioned. Apartment 4B, directly across the hall, reported nothing unusual. No loud noises. No shouts. No sounds of struggle. The old woman living below Emily's apartment said she thought she heard something fall around 6 p.m., but didn't think much of it at the time. No witnesses. No screams. No break-in. Just silence. The timeline was disturbingly tight. Emily left work at 5:15 p.m. Office CCTV captured her leaving the building, smiling, checking her phone as she walked out the main door. The building's front entrance camera showed her arriving home at 5:37 p.m., holding a small grocery bag. After that moment, nothing. No other person was seen entering or leaving her apartment. Not on the building's security footage. Not on the stairwell cameras. Not in the parking lot. No maintenance workers were scheduled that day. No deliveries. No visitors logged in the front desk book. It was as if Emily had stepped into her apartment and vanished from the world. Detectives began building a list of possible suspects. Ex-boyfriends. Colleagues. Friends. Anyone with a possible motive. Hours of questioning followed, dozens of phone calls, interviews at the station, house visits. But every person had an alibi. Every single one, except one. A name that came up more than once. A person whose connection to Emily was complicated. A person who didn't answer their phone that night. Someone who had a history of jealousy and anger. But detectives would soon discover, even this lead would raise more questions than answers. As detectives searched for answers, one name kept surfacing again and again. A name that brought a chill to the room every time it was mentioned. Jason Miller. Emily's former boyfriend. They had dated for almost a year. At first, things had seemed perfect. Jason was charming, attentive, generous. Flowers at her office. Surprise dinners. Weekend trips. But slowly things changed. Friends noticed how Emily stopped smiling when his name came up. She became nervous when her phone buzzed. She canceled plans, said Jason didn't like when she went out without him. After nearly 12 months, she ended the relationship. Told him it was over. That she needed space. That she wanted to move on. But Jason refused to let go. He called her late at night. Sometimes 10, 15 times in a row. Left long, rambling voicemails. Sent messages filled with apologies and anger. Begging, then threatening. He waited outside her apartment building, staring at her window from across the street. Silent. Watching. Emily told friends she was scared. She thought about changing apartments. Changing her phone number. But she didn't want to make a scene. She wanted to believe he would move on. He never did. On the night Emily died, Jason told police he was at home. Alone. Watching TV. No one could confirm this. No witnesses. No neighbors who saw him. No friends who could vouch for him. Just his word. When detectives pressed him, Jason's calm mask cracked. His voice rose. His hands shook. He became defensive. Angry. "Why are you asking me this? I didn't do anything," he snapped during questioning. And then, the most chilling discovery. Sarah, Emily's best friend, told police something she had never told anyone before. Months earlier, after the breakup, Jason had cornered Emily outside her office, grabbed her wrist, leaned in close, and whispered words that still echoed in Sarah's memory. "If I can't have you, no one will." A threat. A warning. Or something far worse. But threats are not proof. Anger is not evidence. And without fingerprints, without DNA, without surveillance footage, detectives could not hold him. Jason walked free. To this day, no arrest has ever been made. No charges filed. No justice served. Was Jason Miller the man who took Emily's life? Or was the real killer still out there, hidden, unknown, waiting? To this day, no one truly knows who killed Emily Carter. Jason Miller, her ex-boyfriend, remained the prime suspect in the eyes of many. His strange behavior, his threatening words, his lack of an alibi, it all pointed in one direction. But there was no proof. No DNA. No fingerprints. No security footage. No witness. It was as if the killer had been a ghost, appearing out of nowhere, and vanishing without a trace. And then, the strange details began to surface. Details that made the case even darker, and far more chilling. First, the balloon. Among the decorations scattered across Emily's living room floor, police found a single pink balloon. Slightly deflated. Gently resting near the kitchen door. But Sarah, Megan, and Josh, the three friends who came to surprise her, swore they never brought pink balloons. All their balloons were blue and white. They were sure. Absolutely sure. So where did the pink balloon come from? Who placed it there? And why? Second, the phone call. 3 days after Emily's murder, the local police station received a disturbing phone call. A voice, low, rough, distorted, spoke just 3 words before hanging up. She deserved it. The number was blocked. Untraceable. No clues to the caller's identity. And no follow-up call ever came. Who was it? The killer? A cruel prankster? Or someone who knew far more than they ever revealed? And finally, the building's security system. Detectives later discovered that on the night of Emily's death, the apartment's front entrance camera had gone offline. A short power glitch. Routine maintenance, they said. Just bad luck. But what if it wasn't? What if someone had planned this? Waited for the perfect moment, when no cameras were rolling, when no witnesses were watching? A professional killer? A stalker with patience? Or someone far closer to Emily than anyone suspected? The town of Rosewood changed that winter. People locked their doors earlier. Looked twice at strangers on the street. Parents kept their children close. And whispers filled the air. What really happened to Emily Carter? For her family, the pain never ended. Her mother, seen crying outside the courthouse 6 months later, held Emily's childhood photo to her chest. Her father stopped speaking to the press. Her sister moved away, unable to bear the memories. For Emily, there was no justice. No arrest. No trial. No answers. Only silence. And somewhere out there, perhaps watching, perhaps smiling, walks the person who ended Emily Carter's life. A killer, still unknown. 10 long years have passed since the day Emily Carter was found murdered in her quiet apartment in Rosewood. 10 birthdays have come and gone. 10 spring seasons. 10 empty chairs at family dinners, where her laughter used to echo. Her friends moved away, scattered across cities, across lives. Some married. Some started families. Some simply stopped talking about that terrible night, hoping the memory would fade. But for Emily's family, the pain has never faded. Every March 14th, her parents light a small white candle. They place it beside her favorite childhood photograph, the one where she's smiling at the beach, holding a seashell in her hand. Her mother whispers a prayer. Her father stares in silence. The cake they never cut still haunts them. The decorations still packed away in the attic. The birthday balloons long since deflated, but the wound remains fresh. The questions remain unanswered. Who killed Emily Carter? Why was she targeted? And how, after all these years, did the killer vanish without a trace? Detective Alan Reeves, now retired, says the case still haunts him. It's the one that got away, he confessed in a rare interview. I think about her face. Her apartment. The way the door wasn't forced. It's like chasing a shadow that never leaves a footprint. No new evidence has surfaced. No new suspects. No confessions. Just silence. Some say the killer may be dead. Others believe he's still living in Rosewood, hiding in plain sight. Watching. Smiling. Knowing he got away with murder. Urban legends have grown around Emily's case. Teenagers dare each other to visit her old apartment, now abandoned. Some swear they've seen a figure standing by her window late at night. Others claim they've heard soft crying from behind the locked door. But these are only stories. Whispers in the dark. And the truth remains buried. For Emily Carter's family, and for Rosewood itself, the nightmare never truly ended. A life stolen. A mystery unsolved. A ghost that will not rest. And perhaps, somewhere out there, the killer is listening to this story. Remembering that cold March night. Remembering the crime they committed, and the secret they took with them into the darkness.